Welcome to our March 2026 NADP Special Needs Chapter meeting. Our speaker today is Eric Chilton, and I'll let him introduce himself and share about security and divorce and special needs families.
Hi, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. I think I heard both coasts of the U.S. represented there. So my name's Eric Chilton. I am a retired special agent in charge of counterintelligence for the federal government. Really long title, right? What does it mean? It means controlling information and interviewing people as it comes to background investigations, security clearances. And you say, well, what does that have to do with divorce? Well, it has a lot to do with divorce. So I know we'll just use Marianne as an example. You're in the Houston area. What is the one thing I know about Houston? That's where the large NASA facility is located. And almost every person in there has been vetted at one form or another from a background investigation. Or maybe somebody's knocked on your door and said, hey, the fella next door is wanting to be an FBI agent. Do you mind if I ask you some questions about him? So it's very intimately involved in family law and the makeups of family and how people tick and how they go about their lives. I retired from that 5 years ago because I am the father of a special needs son, autism. And when COVID hit, the same way I'm talking to you right now, I call it the Brady Bunch screen, where I can see everybody in a little square on the thing. That's what my life became, just like everybody else. I had hundreds of employees all over the world. And to talk to them, I had to sit in a screen like this with a 5 year old doing his kindergarten work. And it was during that time that we uh, going through the initial testing for the diagnosis. And I know one of the members here talked about the IEP program at school. It just took a long time because it was during COVID, but I was very impressed with the process. But anyway, I am now a divorce coach. For those of you that don't know much about divorce coaching, I'm not going to pretend it's anything that it's not. It is a completely unregulated job title that anybody can give themselves. And but everybody that does it, hopefully, comes from a position of I'm not here to make a buck. I'm here to still be of service of some sort. And as corny as that sounds, that's my story of when I left the government, tried various consulting and security things. Every company always wants to hire the ex special agent so they can put that title on their door, but it just didn't bring me a lot of joy. And so now I call myself a bespoke coach, meaning you can come to me with any situation and we will figure it out. But the most common people that come to me are two types, folks that are coming and saying, okay, the writing's on the wall. It's time to get divorced. What do I do? That's my favorite. I feel I can help them the most. Or the second one, and it's tends to be more the exception in the divorce world. Hey, I'm a year into this. We're $500,000 into it. As it applies to special needs, we are at odds of what doctor to do, what treatment to do, who's going to have custody. And that's where things go off the rails, right? And that's where they start getting into what if, what if, what if. And with the variety of professionals here, you've got financial planners, brokers, CDFAs, divorce coaches, mediators. We all play a role in that in one part or another. And when Marianne asked if I wanted to be the speaker today, I said, of course. Most organizations ask me to talk about safety and security as it comes to individuals and online and whatnot. And I normally smile and say, I graduated from college before Al Gore invented the internet. So I deal with people, not machines. But I will take a few quick minutes to talk about some generalized practices that truly are for anybody, not just special needs families, just basic general housekeeping, similar to our monthly topic of, what do you do to keep your life clean and organized? I look at it from here are some general things you can do to keep your life clean and organized. Safety. Um, so I'll do that. And then I want to bounce back to all of my clients ask me to talk to you more about uh, my background in the government and how that comes into parenting plans and special needs things. When I polled them, what would they like to hear today? And then I'll go fast because I really do like questions. But if I had to pick one thing that is the enemy of anybody when it comes to their safety and security, it's the double-edged sword of social media. I have a Facebook account. I have a LinkedIn account. I don't advertise much, but there is a digital footprint of me online. You can type in my name, divorce coach, special agent, whatever, and you'll see a Facebook page, you'll see a LinkedIn page, and some very elementary level web pages. And I try to limit the things that go out as it applies to my personal life and family. And one thing that special needs families sometimes fail to grasp, and it's the community around them that I hope somehow, helps them see that, is when you label yourself as special needs, especially if you're posting things online, if you are sharing things publicly. Maybe let's just, for example, say you have a child that is in a wheelchair, a very visible thing in their life that sets them apart. You get two types of people: the well wishers, the people that come to you of, oh, I've got a nephew in a wheelchair. What's wrong with him? Or questions or things online that set you apart. And if I'm somebody wanting to pry into your life, that gives me what we call the social engineering aspect of it. Gives me an avenue into conversations with you. It gives me ways to ask questions and then follow up later and do research into ways that I can infiltrate your life, hit you with scams, all sorts of stuff. So I teach my clients one simple phrase. It's my best friend's wife literally wrote it on the family chalkboard of, we are in the business of collecting information, not giving out information. I can remember that being preached into my head at the academy upside down and backwards. And I tell you this, and then I'm going to go to my other topic. It is teach your clients and friends and family, special needs or not, it's okay to say no. It's okay to tell a lie. It's okay to, as you can see, I've got some procedures done on my face and bandages. If a person were to come up to me and say, hey, what's going on with your face there? I've got skin cancer or something. If I'm in the mood, I might talk about it. If I'm not in the mood, I might not. But I can give out false information the same way you teach your kids stranger danger. It applies to all of us, but more so than not on your online presence. And add to that, if you advertise that you're divorced or going through any type of legal situation, please remember that that creates a public record. And public records, ever since they went online, are the way that people get information about you. I could give you my phone number. You can know almost everything there is to know about me in 10 minutes online, which is why I say let's start using the I'm not going to use the correct terminology, but the fake phone numbers, the free, the text apps, the Google Voice things that don't contain metadata about you. And I realize that I'm talking very kindergarten level things, but that's the message that I hope the community of divorce in any way has of, let's stop putting as many things out there online. Let's be aware that people that are going to find you or seek you out and have information about you, that's the two places they got it from: social media and public records. But I tell all my clients, especially those that went to endure the pain of online dating, uh, we're not giving out information. Fake phone numbers, fake email addresses. Anybody that gets divorced, I tell them to set up a brand new Gmail account, like Bob123. Nothing that can be traced back to you, and it's used all for your communications on divorce. And I realize I'm rambling. If I start going long on time, please tell me. But I'm happy to share war stories or things of that. I usually get those at corporate speaking events. But before I transition back into the other topic I wanted to talk about. Any questions about security or specific things? I'm happy to field.
When you say you ask your divorce, the first thing you do for that your clients is tell them to create a different email to deal with everything about divorce, and use like a different phone number. I mean, I guess for the online stuff or like the dating sites, but generally, what's the harm for a client to be using their regular email for divorce stuff? I'm curious.
Okay, so
Tell me a war
since
story. Like I,
yeah, yeah.
I'm
People that have and I'm not going to use the correct terminology, but things that go to the shared account, clouds, folders, privileged communications that you don't want to share. Or if you're sending a message to me, your coach, hey, this is going on. I think she's doing this and this and this. Can we talk about it? If your adversary, to use a different term, can see that, you've given away your game plan. Um, to shift that into general thing, if a stranger comes up to you, wants to talk to you, wants to share your information, yep, I'm going to give you that benign email, or I'm going to give you that text app phone number until you've reached my inner circle, and then I want to share my personal information with you. So I'm given very high level things, but for your adversarial, what's the word that's used a lot? High conflict divorces. That is the best way to keep it in one spot that only you know about. And it's hard for me to see if somebody's raising a hand or something. So please just throw your question out there.
So, just to kind of follow up on that particular point, so we do online parenting education classes.
Mhm.
I had a client in the group. Um, we had a co-parent try to join the group, which we never have both parents in the same session. You can imagine why, for safety primarily, but. The way that the co-parent knew about the class that his partner was in was because they had a shared calendar. And so, to your point of sharing information, he could track where she was, and obviously I didn't let him into the session, but just to reiterate the importance of kind of keeping things clean.
Mhm. And you mentioned tracking and following. Again, I had a staff that could talk for years on everything I'm about to tell you. But for instance, those in the special needs community or just children in general, all the apps that can track where you are. Or there are some spouses and situations where stalking, domestic violence, you know, horrible things are occurring to where you have to choose, do I leave the tracking on that child because they're with me and we're going to XYZ location or not. So hopefully these are the exception, not the rule. But for the bad cases that go off the rails, that's also something to consider of all that technology. To go back to the first person that asked the question, if you're creating all new things, removing yourself from any shared things, ring cameras, security things, anything where you don't want somebody to know where you are or what you're saying, we really are our own worst enemies of how that happens. If I wanted to find you, it would be very easy for me to. In fact, one of the very first social media cases that the federal government ever had, I was fortunate enough to be involved with it. It was movie was even made about it. We were looking for a guy, and he put a picture of himself in London, where I used to live, and I saw the sign. I'm like, that's the London Underground. And we found him 6 hours later in London. Didn't know where he was. But those things happen.
Um, I just also like we're with a non-for-profit, but to do
Uh-huh.
social media, you sort of you need to do it. Like you want to get the
Right.
word out, and that's what people are. But you have to have, I never was on it before, a private account to have it linked to it. And that's bad. Like, so it's hard to avoid having that.
hmm if you do have people that come to you and say, how would somebody know this about me or not? More than likely, that came from some type of public record that is tied to your name, your address, your phone number. Pre-internet, we used to send doing background investigations or any type of intelligence investigations. If I knew that somebody had any type of civil or criminal court action, I'd have the interns there immediately reviewing every single document, coming up with anything that I might want to know about that person because they told it to me. It's there in the public, and that's mostly where that information comes from.
Eric, I just had a question that's kind of off topic, but you brought up tracking.
Love them. Go ahead.
And I took my grandson, who's special needs, to 5 to Disneyland last summer. And so the crazy grandparent, like, bought new shoes, cut out, put the Apple Pod things or the Apple trackers, which I don't have an Apple.
Oh, wow.
Does one inside, one in his pocket, like, because I was afraid that, like, if they did take him, like, grab his clothes off or is there, and then my daughter brought up a point. She's like, well, Mom, those things are stupid because the Apple, whatever they are, little things, pop up on other Apple phones when you're in the area. Is that true?
I can tell you that it is, only because I am an Apple user and I see them. I've never used them myself, but most of my corporate clients in my security world are the companies that create those things. And yes, they are easily tracked. And that's third party me telling you that information. I'm certainly not the developer of them.
I can add to that. And I'm sorry I'm late. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mary Ann's co-director for this. I'm Susan Bernstein. So I had an IEP transition meeting for my daughter to go into a group home. So that obviously, sorry, one time thing.
Oh, great.
But I, for my son, put a tag in his camp bag where he takes the bus and he goes on places for that. And like, if he goes to a friend's house, this is just an example, but my friend said, I got notification when your son got into my house that there was an Apple tracker. And at first she was wondering what it could possibly be. And then she realized it was my son. But it doesn't necessarily tell you more than that there's someone in your proximity that has one near you. So I guess his bag got near her purse and all of a sudden she got a notification. Apple has made more securities now. People used to try to, in divorce situations, put it in someone's car. Now, if it's there more than 72 hours, it beeps, right? And it picks up. So they've kind of done it for almost stalking situations. But of course, now people use others instead, right? So, but yeah.
So
yeah, please, I'm not telling you not to do these.
If somebody has a tracker, like she was just mentioning, like I had my client, her soon-to-be ex-husband put one in her car so he could track where she was going.
Right.
And then we realized, you just brought up Ring cameras. I've never even thought about telling my divorce clients, oh, make sure you turn those off. If the spouse has moved out and there's contention, then you should probably like turn off their ability to see what's going on in your house, because then even if you're on your phone, they can just hear everything you're saying. What would you do if something pops up and says, hey, there's a tracker near you and you are going through a divorce? I told her to go to the police station because I didn't know what else to tell her. Do you have advice on that?
I do. It's expensive advice. So I am a former cop, so I'm nothing but love for cops. But your local law enforcement agencies, number one, don't have the capability to do very much. And even if they did, it's hard. And it's from a legal standpoint of, if I still own this house and something I own is left in this house, did you break the law or not? It's a fuzzy area. There are companies that will come through and do a complete forensic sweep for you. You're talking in the thousands of dollars, but I'm going really fast. But my point was more of, remember that you have things on your phone that are tracking, especially for those that have trackers on their children. And if you don't want another party to know that, if you are having that high conflict, if you are having that domestic violence or stalking or something, remember that's one of the things that can easily be accessed to see you. So they are like social media. It's a necessary evil. It's a part of our life. But just remember that that might be one of the things that's causing the problem that you're having from security. And I'm not sure if I properly introduced myself, Eric. I'm in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, but I am a Floridian, and I'll be in Boca this month for the Florida Derby. So there was a gentleman that had the intercoastal waterway photo there a minute ago, and I'm the client of two of you in the financial world. I guess I just shouldn't say.
Great. Eric, and so do you have information about children who are high functioning enough or ability to use social media or technology? What are some things that they can do to keep themselves safe?
Right.
Because right now people are sharing everything about themselves
Mhm.
on there.
So I'm a child of the 80s. I'm going to tell you the same thing we were told in school, stranger danger. So back to what I was saying, like my son is the most honest person you will ever meet. In addition to being a child who, doesn't have a filter and tells the truth, he feels the need to tell you everything. If you ask, "What's your name?" Well, you're going to get a lot of information. It's okay to not tell the truth is the summary to your question of if a stranger contacts you online, in person, whatever, to limit what you're giving out. Or if you do have a reason to give information, the things that I mentioned before, your benign email addresses, your free phone numbers that can't be tied to your address or your home or your name, anything that says you are in no way required to give out information, even though you have the feeling that you should. And it's called social engineering. I'm starting a conversation with you, and pretty soon you're telling me everything, whether you wanted to or not. Um, Again, this is nothing that you haven't heard before, but when it comes to kids, I say this often: it's okay to say no. It's okay not to tell the truth. And as we get into the adult thing, I can tell you things to say, and that's where you're giving out the fake phone number to the fellow at the bar that asked you out and those types. It's truly the same principle. Excuse me. The other topic I just wanted to take a moment to address, since this is the special needs community, and because of my background in the government, of people love to make Hollywood movie questions about my job. I am not James Bond. I am not Jason Bourne. I'm honored that you think I jump out of airplanes and gamble at Monte Carlo and that type of stuff. But one thing I am, if you're a fan of Hollywood, the movie Meet the Parents with Robert De Niro, where he said, "Fucker, are you in the circle of trust?" Well, that's truly what I did for a living. And how does that relate to family law and divorce? Well, you now have a family unit that is separating. And for the purposes of our discussion here today, we'll just say that we have a special needs child. And, it could be anything. It could be somebody that has a lifelong, disability that we have to account for things in the future or not. And more often than not, you hear conversations of wife says, "Well, husband works. He doesn't take the kids to the doctor. He doesn't know anything." Or the husband says, "Well, she made this decision once and this and this and this." And the government looks at that whole person and not one incident in your life of are you trustworthy to go forward, but what is the likelihood that we can trust you and train you with information in the future? Well, family law and divorce is a lot like that. You now have two households. You have two people that have to comply with the rules and regulations and policies and procedures as it applies to the child. Meaning, are we doing the same patterns at both houses? Are we doing the same routines? Are we both able to give the medical care that can be required both now and in the future? And coaching and teaching your folks not to rush to snap judgments. Just because parent A hasn't been involved in the doctor's appointments or going to the school doesn't mean that he or she can't. This is now a new reality that they have to learn and adapt to. But for those exceptions that go bad, we look at what's called patterns of engagement. And I think a lot of family courts do that as well. Of a lot of the topics we were talking about today, of what do the records show, who's been participating in things, who is the person that has those trackers on their phone and knows where the kids are and are they safe and whatnot, of looking at the whole person and the whole situation that courts call best interest of the child. Well, the government in my world calls it the whole person concept and the adjudication of, I realize I'm getting off the reservation here in topics, but realizing that we're about to take one unit and splinter it into two and keeping the consistencies between the two households. And I'm sure a lot of your organizations, especially those that work in the charity and pro bono, you hear a lot of that, of keeping the consistency between the two homes, keeping the medical literacy the same, adhering to rules and policies and procedures. And I'm not a paid spokesman for them, but the parenting apps, I'm a huge fan of those. If for no other reason, I have the world's nicest divorce, but there's always a sick kid. There's always one of us is standing at the doctor's office and needs the insurance information so that I'm doing the same thing you did last month when I'm here. And even in the nicest families, I encourage you to pay a little bit of money or set it up yourself to where you have those, even though I told you to have separate accounts, those shared accounts of the information that is critical for the needs of that child and that family member. And I'm going real fast, guys, because I don't want to take up your time. How are we
Leslie,
doing on time?
yeah, so Leslie has a question, then we can conclude after
yes,
that.
please answer, because I can't see when they wave the hand.
Just quickly, just in terms of best interest, I do agree the apps are so helpful and all of that. But what we see in New York, there are a lot of things that are important that the courts will consider. But truthfully, all things being equal, meaning, there's not abuse or, something that's happening. The courts want to see which parent is going to support the relationship with the other parent, and which, if one parent is going to undermine that relationship, that's sort of devastating. So keeping the consistency, all that, but really being able to allow your child to have both parents, if safe, in their lives.
Yep. And for the lives that don't go well, where one parent is asking, and the folks that come to me in the special needs world, it's these exceptions, the 1 out of 100 that gets litigated really bad, and the bad stories that you hear. I always circle back to this: of if you want the court to consider, or the guardian ad litem or whomever to consider, that parent A is not as good as parent B, that's where all those records and information come in, of what is the pattern of engagement. What are the mitigating factors that show that this parent had the opportunity to participate in medical screenings and all the things that are required to raise a special needs child? And that data or lack of data might be what you need in court. But as we know, only some studies say only 5% of cases go to litigation. Well, this is the 5% of that 5%. And I'm more than happy to talk about them. But I try to steer things as much as I can to keep people in that majority of, yeah, divorce is uncomfortable, but let's just go about it as systematically as we can. Oh, there's the intercoastal waterway picture again. I'm coming to see you soon.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Eric. That was such great information, lots of things for us to think about. And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you and learn more about what you can offer and more about security aspects as well?
Well, I'm always happy to talk about security, but it's palmettodivorcecoaching.com. Most of my security stuff is your billion-dollar companies. I far prefer what we're doing here of bespoke one-on-one. Hey, I've got a client with this situation. Can you think of something? palmettodivorcecoaching.com.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate your information. And this will be on the website soon for those who are watching this later. So thank you
Very
so
good.
much for joining us.